Alright, so today we're going to work with fractions and equations. So I'm assuming that most of you would prefer not to have to work with fractions when solving equations. So this video is going to teach you a strategy called clearing the fraction. So we're going to get rid of the fraction in order to solve equations that have fractions in them easier. So our objective is we're going to be able to solve multi-step equations with fractions. And I promise if you follow along and you take notes and you work really hard, this will not be hard for you. Alright? There's a really good strategy that I'm going to show you that is going to make your life so easy with fractions. And all you need to know how to do is find a common denominator. So, on your paper right now, I would like you to take a moment, pause the video, and I want you to solve negative 2x minus 6 equals 10. Alright, so you should be back, you should have paused it, you should have solved it. So the first thing I'm going to do here is add 6 to both sides because when I cross the line, I change the sign. So I get negative 2x equals 16. Then I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 2. X equals negative 8. Alright, positive divided by negative is a negative. Alright, so if I move on to this one, alright, the starting step is no different. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So what gets tricky is that I have negative 2 over 5x equals 16. Right? I have taught you that we multiply by the reciprocal, so negative 5 over 2. Multiply by negative 5 over 2. Okay? I can cross simplify. 16 becomes 8. 8 times negative 5, x equals negative 40. Okay, those equations aren't bad, right? That one with a fraction, you can multiply by the reciprocal. But today, every term is going to be a fraction, so that's when we're going to need to use the rule that I'm teaching. Alright, so the first problem we have is negative 3 over 5 equals negative 2x. So, I'm going to put everything that's not into a fraction into a fraction. So negative 2x, I can rewrite as negative 2x over 1. Right? So now I have two fractions. I have negative 3 over 5, and that equals negative 2x over 1. So from here, I'm going to think about what is my common denominator. Common denominator. Okay, you have seen that word, you know what that is, you can do that so many times, and that's all you need to know about how to do, that's all you need to know about fractions in order to solve these fraction problems. So my common denominator between 5 and 1 is 5. So I'm going to take this entire equation and I'm going to multiply it by 5. So you should know by now that we are going to distribute when I have a parentheses and a number outside of it. So I'm going to distribute this 5 to this term, and I'm going to distribute this 5 to this term. Alright, so what that means is I'm multiplying 5 times negative 3 over 5 and 5 times negative 2x. So I'm going to rewrite that real quick. Negative 3 over 5 equals negative 2x over 1. Alright, so I have distributed that 5 to this term and to this term. Okay, so really, let me do a little offside work here. I am multiplying 5 over 1 times negative 3 over 5, and I'm multiplying 5 over 1 times negative 2x over 1. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is cross simplify because this is going to get rid of my fractions. That's the whole point. So if I look here, 5 and 5 cross simplify, they both cancel out and become 1. All right, so over here I'm going to write, cancel out my 5s, this becomes 1. All right, on this one right here, I cannot cross simplify anything, so this is just going to stay as a 5. So now I'm going to multiply that number that I just cross simplified and what I got times my numerator. So 1 times 3 is 3, so I'm going to write -3 equals 5 times -2x is going to be -10x. All right, from here, now I have no more fractions, and you all should be super happy because we have no more fractions. So I'm going to then finish solving my equation. Divide by -10, divide by -10. So x equals +3 over 10. I cannot simplify that. I cannot do anything else with that. That is my answer. Fractions are answers, okay? But I eliminated having to deal with the whole fraction thing by getting rid of it. So, might have been confusing. We're going to try another one together. So, if we look at the second one on your paper, it's actually going down instead of across. So, the second one is the one right below the one we just did. So, again, I'm going to put everything into a fraction. So, r becomes r over 1. -2 becomes -2 over 1. All right? So, I'm going to split up every term first because that might actually help you a little bit. So I have r, I have -2, -r over 10, 3 over 5. So I'm going to multiply this entire thing by the common denominator, and my common denominator between 5 and 10 is 10. So I'm going to multiply the entire thing by 10, which means I'm going to distribute this 10 to every single term. All right, so this is going to be all right, so if you have that and we distribute the 10 to every term, that means I'm going to have 10 multiplied here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here. Okay, so I look at this number and my denominator. All right, 10 divided by 1, I cannot simplify. So I'm going to keep the 10. 10 divided by 1, I cannot simplify. 10 divided by 10, well, both of those become 1. 10 divided by 5, that becomes 2. All right, so I'm going to multiply what I have in the corner here with my numerator. So I'm going to start with 10 times r, which is 10r. 10 times -2 is -20. 1 times -r is -r equals 2 times 3, which is 6. Hey, look, we have no fractions, and now this becomes a really easy problem. So I'm going to combine like terms. 10r minus r, 9r. Minus 20 equals 6. Okay, I want you to finish solving this problem. All right, so you should be back, and you should have gotten r equals 26 over 9, okay? But this, I know right now that cannot be simplified, okay? 26 cannot be divided by 3, and 9 can only be divided by 3, so that is my answer, 26 over 9. All right, if you're feeling really good about this, you can go and work on the worksheet by yourself. If you want one more example, I'm going to show one more example. Okay, I'm going to do it pretty quickly. So if I look here, I'm going to, again, every term. All right, my common denominator between 4, 6, and 12 is 12. All right, every one of these numbers can multiply to get 12. So I'm going to multiply this entire thing by 12, which means that I'm going to multiply every term by 12. All right, so then I'm going to cross simplify. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that goes away and becomes a 3. 12 divided by 6 is 2. And 12 divided by 12 is 1. So I'm going to multiply these numbers by the numerator. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times -r is -2r equals -5. Again, I'm going to keep solving. -3 I'm subtracting because 3 is positive. Negative 2r equals negative 8. Divide by negative 2. This one comes out to be really nice for us. R equals 4. All right, keep working on this problem. You can ask Mrs. Kemp or Mrs. Floyd for help if you need it. We are going to also work on this tomorrow, but I need you to get through most of the worksheet today.